What the fuck? I just unmuted myself. Professor, thanks for pointing that out. Son of a bitch. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry about that. What up, you black? So, thumbnail. Where is it? Here it is. Men, what can you offer to a woman that has everything? Now, thought about this question long and hard because there's when it comes to the dynamic between men and women, it's safe to say that men has to cover the woman because man has more things than the woman, and the women are. Nah, Professor, it was on my end too. It showed up mute on my screen, so nah, it's all good, man. But I appreciate you, uh, peeping game on that. But when it comes to the dynamic of women, it's easy for us to say we want a woman that is what's the normal things I tell you guys not to say on any of the days? Fit, friendly, submissive, cooperative, blah 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 blah. And the reason why they say that is for the simple fact that women, when it comes to women navigating themselves around this world, although they might be successful, whatever that looks like, it pales in comparison to what a man can do for them. Men can do a lot more for women than women can do for themselves. That just has obviously been proven. That's irrefutable at this point when you want to talk about it on a mass scale. We got to acknowledge the landscape we play in. And I'm assuming you mean in society. Now, with him saying that, let me get this back up there. With him saying that, men created this society. Men, anything you see back here was created, orchestrated, some way, shape, or form by a man. Let's say if a woman put a little stuff here and there, the overseer was always men. Man controls the puzzle pieces, excuse me, the chess pieces around society, and that's just the fact of the matter. You go outside, it's man-made. Not to say women play no part in society and how things run. I would never say that. That would be disrespectful. It pales in comparison to men. That's just a simple fact of the matter. Brody Mack is in the building. You trying to get somebody ready? You wow, bro. Nah, well, I the link is pinned to the top. Yeah, you guys can pull up at any time. Um, dang, what was I saying? Omni, what's up, man? Checking me out on IG Live. So, with what Morty Mac just said, I haven't been to the gym about a week, so I need to really get back. It's just that this week is I'm prioritizing this weekend, so I'm not trying to do too much. But as far as summer body ready or whatever the case may be, ladies and gentlemen, I lost between 30 and 40 pounds since October, and I'm just keep dropping weight whenever I can. So, but getting back to what I was saying, with how man orchestrated this world that we live in, the women are relying on the man. They are dependent on the man. That's in masses. However, that's the facts of the matter. Now, let's get to the other side of this thing. Now, when I orchestrated this thumbnail, I wanted to really just have you guys think about it. Not to say that you're going to come across Beyonce, Taylor Swift, or Rihanna's, but for the simple idea that they can, what can you, those three women have everything. They have everything. They don't necessarily need a man, but you have to offer them something. So the question is, what is that? Think about that real quick. Making his debut on the BTSI show. You seen him on Fatty's channel. You see him on Aaron O's channel. He is very important in the space, very profound. He talks. Everybody should listen. Ladies and gentlemen, Paulo Festo is in the building. Paulo Festo, what's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah, we're good, family.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Pretty good.
This idea, um, I appreciate that, Walter. Thanks, man. I'm doing this. I'm doing this show because we're coming across women that has everything where they don't need a man. So it's the idea of this is what they want. So with women wanting a man and they have everything taken care of, they got the money, they got the bills paid, they got the education, they got the house. They literally have everything that makes this world spin, that make their life spin. They don't need a man. They want a man. But even in a relationship, you still have to both parties have to offer something. So the question is, what can a man offer to a woman that has everything?
Yeah, I think this is. I'm gonna reference my comment earlier. We have to understand the dynamic, or at least the environment that we play in. And you've gone into stating that all of this has been created by men and men in droves, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
what do we as men provide for women who has everything?
Correct.
I think personally, when I look at that sort of question, that's a new frontier. Never had we seen women in droves go into the world and earn essentially what men do. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to quantify it, I don't think it's quantifiable. All of the tangibles have been provided. You speak about career, homes, finances, all of those things. Um, at this point, I'm more interested in looking at the psychological benefits of being with each other at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Because all the barometers that made a man is now being accessed by women. So where do we go from here? I think the studies that come out and they say things about happiness in women at older ages may be the thing that people need to look at. Okay, you have everything. How does that make you feel? And is that something that is going to be robust and sustainable for the duration of your life on this earth?
Mm-hmm. And that well, that's a very I like that way of looking at it. Like with you achieving everything, how's this going to play for you in the long run? Like I said, the psychological part. You have the see. I kind of correlated to like see Walmart has sells everything, but if I really want furniture, I can go to Walmart, but I can go to the furniture store. When it comes to men, when it comes to women handling this world or achieving the success that they have to achieve, it's not that it's impossible. It's just for the simple fact that there's going to be it's cause and effect. Men can handle this stress and these accomplishments a lot better than women because the durability they have to go through to get to that. Where women is going to be fragile, to say the least, or to be nice about it. So that definitely goes to the psychological part. Like, what did you compromise mentally to achieve this level of success? What part of your emotions? Um, what did you have to tap into emotionally or lack thereof to see the small levels of success that you have to achieve? So that goes to the psychological part and how that can affect your personal life. How can it affect your family? How can it affect your husband? Do you have that on and off switch to turn that shit off when you walk through the front door? Because you're going to be a wife first, a mother second, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, if Ebony K. Williams is anything to go by, and I'm not using her as in whole as a generalization, but if she's anything to go by, if you watch the conversation that she had with the older lady, if you're someone who pays
Mm-hmm.
attention to people's behavior and how they speak, you can hear the yearning that she has for a man. And I think people highly underestimate emotional needs, especially when it's reciprocated from a person that you have complete trust and intimacy with. So even with the, let's say for Ebony K. Williams, the success that she's had, she's got it all. But in the way that she presents herself, there's still that deep yearning for someone that she can at least lay a foundation with or come home to, and unpack a lot of the emotional or the lack thereof of emotions that she had to go through to achieve. essentially what you were saying.
But the thing was, see, here's the thing with Ebony K. Williams. Now, I want to go back to before she talked to Ayana Bazan. This, matter of fact, this was before the pandemic, to be exact. I believe this was before the pandemic. She talked about this plenty of times about how she wants a man and what she can do for a man. And believe it or not, she copied. I could say now she probably copied and pasted what she heard for what a woman should do for a man. I will cook, I will clean, I will provide this, I will provide that. Everything she said. Now she said I ain't gonna donate a red cent, which is fine. I didn't have a problem with it back then. That sounds like a woman that's ready for to be a wife because she knew the right talking points to say. But now we get to that Ayana Vazant interview. You hear her, and he's like, "Oh shit, you're not ready at all. You are not ready at all. You're gonna fail miserably." Matter of fact, she was engaged, and she's no longer engaged anymore because she's getting old. She's getting tired. She achieved this level of success, but the problem is she doesn't have an off switch. That's her biggest problem. And not only an off switch to turn on that energy that allow her to reach that level of success, she can't stop talking for whatever reason. And her mouth is actually, I'm glad her mouth is getting her in trouble, but I'm glad because she's telling people who she is now, and we just need to believe her. So she is the enemy. If she doesn't, if she can't find a man, the sole reason is her, nobody else.
The off switch is something that's very important. I've experienced that during dating, and not only that, experienced that early on with my wife. And that's why, for me, when I look at just couple in general and their dynamic, the reason why I have a stance in terms of at least be for the man, at least be in a position where if she was to come out of the workforce, you're able to handle that responsibility
Mm-hmm.
and take on the financial toll. So the on and off switch. So when for me, as soon as I walk out through those doors, I get in my truck, I'm in work mode.
Right.
When I come home, all of the things that I've dealt with during that day, that's outside the door. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to switch those precision quite easily because I don't know whether it's because we're extremely logical, we rationalize things, we able to detach ourselves from emotions, but that comes easy to me. With my wife when she was working, that off switch was non-existent,
Right.
and that was something that I had to condition in her. Look, that's work. You're now at home. You're not
Mm-hmm.
fighting nobody no more. You don't have to fight for your position. There's no pride or ego in here. You're with me. This is a place of intimacy, and this is a relationship between me and you. So, although you have rare cases where there are women who can do that and execute perfectly on how to have that off switch, but that's something that needs to be explored in conversation, especially with women who are considered ambitious. You have to be aware of that
Mm-hmm.
off switch, especially when you're around a man in general.
And the reason why they have trouble with that off switch is for the simple fact that they're emotionally tied into the job. They were supposed to invest um, mind and physical skill sets to your job. That's it. Men, we don't care about the job. Is my check here on the first? Is it here on the 15th? That's all we care about. Not to say there's a difference between a job and career. We know that. But we don't have that most when it comes to a job, there's no emotional attachment. I do security. I don't have no emotional attachment to security in of itself. I go there, I do my jobs, I work X amount of hours. I'm not emotionally tied to my job because I'm not thinking about it when I clock out. Because I'm ready to turn on husband mode. I'm ready to turn on father mode. Work mode is off. Women who invest so much into their jobs and into the long term, the short term goals, is they cannot leave work at work. They have to. They always manage to bring it home when they don't have to. So that's why their on switch stays on and they forget to turn it off. Like I said, we're gonna have to reprogram women to turn that shit off because while you're chasing one one goal, you're gonna end up destroying the home base that's gonna keep you humble and keep you at the ground level. And so that would be my thing for ladies. Like, but now here's one thing I'm noticing, Paulo, as a late. There's women who can turn that switch on and off. Now, are they in masses? No. But I would say in our lifetime, we're gonna come across, maybe, if I had to be nice, we're gonna come across like maybe 5 or 6 women before we turn the age of 40. But a woman who has everything and who don't need a man, but they want the man, if that makes sense. And the question
Yeah,
is, what can you offer them? Because you have to offer something to the women anyways for them to invest in this relationship. And it's easy for us to give a woman the idea of, here's where I'm at, here's where I'm at now, here's where I'm going to be at 5 years from now, here's where I'm going to be at 10 years from now, and here's what I've been doing beforehand. It's easy to offer that to a woman who has nothing compared to the man. But what do you offer? But will that same thing work for someone who has just as much as you or more? What can you offer them then?
absolutely not. So when we're looking at women like that, the only thing that a man can offer at that stage is higher level of competence in the same field or similar.
Hmm.
So that's what we offer in that dynamic. So the understanding of the type of woman that you're attracted to for us as men should be very important. If you're attracted to that type of woman who's got everything, the only thing that you have that you can offer is competence and a high level of competence. We have an example in this space. I'm not too sure whether you're familiar with sophisticated jerk.
Mm.
Um,
He,
yeah, I,
I think I've been on a panel with them a couple of times.
I've had the honor of having conversation with him. So he's essentially in that role. Highly ambitious. His wife is the same. They run in the same corporate circle, and that's their dynamic. Is that
Hmm.
he's equalizing the playing field across with her by, I have a higher level of competence than you. Should you fall out, I'm gonna remain solid. You don't have to second guess that. So
Hmm.
that's the game for women like that.
Mm. I'm not mad at that. And also, real quick before I put my take into this, because I know it was an over exaggeration for me to use these three as an example of women who have everything, who don't necessarily need a man. It's more like they want the man, and they just to simplify that, they desire to have a man. They don't need him. Now, I remember I asked this question last week on Aaron's panel, particularly to Sharon. Now, his answer, he gave a Sharon Bracy answer. I'll just leave it at that. But so, salute to Chicago Rilla, because when I asked that question, he said one thing that we can offer them is a seed. And the only reason I'm bringing that up because I have to respond to that. When it comes to that, fellas, you can't, offering a woman a seed is not enough because we have sperm banks. Exactly how many sperm banks do we have in the US? I'm not 100% sure. But they can go get they can go to a bank and sign up. They got it to where you can actually filter through your selections, which I think is wild in of itself. But they don't need a man to make a baby. They don't need us there. They can go to a bank for that. So I wanted to address that. But salute to Rilla for actually being one of a couple of people to actually answer that question while everybody was looking confused. Now to go off what Paulo Fesso said, actually let me read this. I don't understand that feeling within women why their jobs cause them stress. A hard taxi job, I get it, but they pay me for it. If a woman is that's because they're emotionally involved, they're emotionally invested into their job. And when they don't get the outcomes that they want, it's going to be taxing. Women usually don't get the outcomes they want when it comes to these positions. Now, I'm starting, to, well, been noticed a shift as in the last 5 years that you're starting to see more women in the manager roles. Some of them are starting to creep into the C suites, but it's still dominantly ran by men. So when you're disappointed and let down, you're taking that feeling home. when you're supposed to leave it at your desk. So that's why they're going through whatever they're going through. Now this is in the building. What's going on, man? They need a man to do medical procedures to get their body, to get their baby implanted. We're talking about, yeah, that's fine, and that's just for the moment. That's just a procedure. Once you once they do that, they're done. They're gone. Next person. And sometimes, and there's a women that do that as well. But I hear what you're saying. But let me get back to what I was gonna say. What can you offer a woman that has everything? Paulo Fessel said competency, which I 100% agree. I can go as far as to say normalcy. Real simple. You need. They are, when I use it, like I said again, over exaggeration. What can you men offer these three women? A sense of normalcy. Beyonce totally understand that was an organic relationship. Taylor Swift, long. I'm not going to touch that. As far as Rihanna, she probably has the most. Granted, a successful and ASAP Rocky is, but that's probably as normal as you're going to get between those three women and their spouse and their significant others. You need to offer a level of normalcy. The only reason why I'm saying this is because you don't want to. Men are still in the process. Some men, let me be respectful, are still in the ideology of leading with money. Like, okay, she makes all this money, um, and I have to match her. Like, I have to reach that level. It's like, no, the fuck you don't. You really do not, because she makes her money. All the bills are paid for. Her life is running on autopilot. All you have to do is just be there in the moment and don't talk yourself out of a what they say. Don't talk yourself out of the pussy. Real simple. Don't talk yourself out of a relationship, which most men tend to do, which is their own kryptonite. What's up, bro? How you doing?
Man, I didn't consider that, and now that you're mentioning it, um, it's making my brain tick. And you said normalcy. My brain went directly to being the equalizer, and being
Mm-hmm.
the equalizer in the sense of no matter the chaos that she may face in the world, when she is in her presence, everything is equalized for. And I like that. I like that you mentioned that. The whole idea with the baby and having a seed, I think personally when I look at these type of women, they're very calculated in the way that they look at a lot of things, which is a detriment for them in terms of romantic interest. But the baby is not an incentive that they will typically look at and say that's a great idea um, at the time of pursuing the career. So maybe I need to absorb that a little bit more, but I don't see how giving those type of women children would be something that incentivized them to be with a man.
In that role, because we're seeing, and this, which is, matter of fact, you brought up Ebony K. Williams, which is, this is borderline, makes no sense to me. We're seeing women now, particularly older women, who still have nothing to show for. Meaning, I've reached this level of success. Who am I sharing this with? I need a child. And I'll say, whoa, 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 whoa! Don't you want a man first? Because this is parenting is a two-person job minimum. So, but with these women in these positions, they're trying to prove that they're superwoman. This is where their ego gets into play. Yeah, you can say a man's. This is usually where a man's ego comes in, because they could do everything. The reason why we're at the case where these women who have everything and they want a man, they also want to be a mother, because they long for somebody to love them back. That's now I don't go with the whole idea of get a dog buy a lump RP to Kev, but hell, don't get no child, because there's actually real consequences and repercussions if you drop the ball with that one. And for the women that's climbing up this corporate ladder, to your point, how can you do that and be a mother at the same time? A single mother at that, and truly single, because Most of these women have a child's father or have family that they could bounce off just in case. You're literally doing this by yourself, and you're putting yourself in a position where you'll have to raise a child by your completely alone. And keep in mind, this child did not ask to be here. So I think that's extremely like that's a type of level of selfishness. Now that I think about it, that's a level of selfishness that I did not think exists, but I'm starting to see that a lot more.
Yeah, see, this is the problem that people don't want to acknowledge is that absolutely single parents can create successful children or at least healthy children. Great. But those barometers for success is based on what you do. Typically your career, working, job, whatever it is.
Hmm.
Where are the parameters for healthy relationships?
There you go.
Right? This is what most people underestimate highly in terms of speaking about children. I've never gone with the talking point of, you know, single fathers, highly successful in raising children, all of these things, although that might be true in some sentiment. But
Hmm.
again, the biggest killer in terms of children's mental health when they grow up to being adults is relationship and difficulty in forming and maintaining relationship. So we have to really think about these talking points of, yes, as a woman and you're highly successful, you can substitute a lot of these uh, parenting things with money, but you
Hmm.
cannot substitute the model of what healthy relationship look like if you don't have
Right.
one.
That is very much true, because when they say, and this is actually a talking point that I'm going to debunk, the idea that single fathers are better parents than single mothers, and whatever the case may be. That might be statistically true, but because this society is based on, can you go to work, can you get a job? Excuse me, can you go to college, can you pay your bills, and can you stay out of jail? Basically, if you do that, they don't care what you do in your personal life. However, if a single father is raising their child, how can you how can you really succeed on raising your child on how to be a husband or how to be a father if there's no examples around? Like for me growing up, my mom and dad got a divorce. And also, just for context, furthermore context, ladies and gentlemen, some people know this. My dad's from Nigeria, so the level of raising a child is a little bit different than people in the West, just to provide context. But at the same time, I did not see my dad with anybody outside of my mom. But after the divorce, he's still single to this day. So the best thing that he did for us is when we went to church, I saw a lot of, there's still a lot of couples who are married to this day. I joined my church in 1997, and those people are still married to this day. So he was able, whether he knew it or not, surround me by married people, so at least I know how to navigate through that, go through my bumps and bruises. But at least I see something, I see examples, and I see at least what you strive for, and at the same time learning from my mom and my father's mistakes. So so that's just the idea of single fathers. Like my dad raised me. Yeah, my dad does make the statistic as far as being a successful, be able to raise successful children from a single, from a divorced household, whatever the case may be. But the reason why I'm doing well, or I will be doing, I'm not going to say that because that's revealing too much. Because he put the examples around me as far as how to, as far as relationships and that type of stuff. He couldn't really tell me that from a African standpoint, regarding the West. I had to surround myself with people who know how to be in a relationship, who knows what it means to be married, and who knows how to handle their business, and how to at least be the show the human side versus all this talking points, robotic stuff that we hear today.
Yeah, I think you remind me of Similar story. So my mother passed when I was 6, um,
Mm,
and I think the blessing in disguise, or at least a silver lining for me, was a vast majority of the um, people in the neighborhood that I was with and I was drawn towards were 4 to 6 years older than me. And what
mm,
I mean by that is because there weren't that womanly feeling in the home, it almost seems like it was a facility rather than a home. And although my
mm,
father did very well in terms of discipline and structure, my gravitation towards other people in the neighborhood allowed me to a degree, grew up a lot older. So, what I mean by that, if I was to stay as square as possible with my father, I think I would have been heavily disadvantaged in the sense of I would have pursued women at maybe 18, 19 after puberty, and it
mm.
would have taken me another whole 10 years to figure a lot of things out. Because what my father was great at, he was extremely great at discipline and structure,
Yep.
but the lack of a mother in the household didn't allow me to see what their dynamic was, and in terms of my own personal growth, being able to fit in different puzzle pieces in that dynamic. So even to this day, I still draw some inspiration from the time that my mother was alive. And when I
Mm-hmm.
look at my wife, there's elements of my mother in what I see in her: calm demeanor, very thoughtful, kind, very nurturing in the way that she is. And if you take that as an example, to me, that is some form of evidence in the sense of that's why we draw the references that we have towards people, and it's impactful. Even I became conscious maybe at 2.5, maybe 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So from the age of 3 to 6, and I still carry that as a barometer in terms of how I looked at women. Although very flawed at first because I didn't know a lot of these things, but to 30-year-old now with a woman who have the same traits and the same elements that I saw as a kid growing up.
Right. That's dope. I like to hear that. And one thing is when you said it like our fathers is discipline, structure. Matter of fact, structure, organization, and I'm not gonna say presentation because I can say that's kind of where the mother of the qualities come in, but it's definitely structure, organization, and a lot of discipline. Because part of the whenever I debunk this talking point, I will tell people, yes, statistically, fathers do produce better children than single mothers, but at what cost? Now we have plenty of examples of how people turn out when they're raised by single parents, or excuse me, single mothers. But when it comes to the single fathers, good results, by the way. But what is lacking is some type of a human aspect, emotions, basically. I'm not going to say emotional intelligence because I don't believe there's no such thing. But when it comes to we're not really sensible to other people's feelings. Like we'll listen to you, we'll analyze it, and we'll make the right decisions based off of what you said. But sometimes it's hard. I'm somewhat learning. I'm still learning how to do this. Although I came a far way. But I used to not give a I used to really not care about people's feelings because it's like I was like that's it. Okay, so when somebody said your shoes was ugly. Somebody said you look ugly, you fat or whatever the case may be. I don't have that feeling. All that stuff for the most part is gonna bounce right off me because we're more focused on what's really important right now. It's never our feelings. And if it's never our feelings, it's never we're not gonna pay attention or we could care less about your feelings. And that can be a positive, but that can also be a crutch in us for when we get in a relationship or when we interact with other human beings. I tend to stay away from a lot of people because I know because of that I can rub people the wrong way.
Yeah, I had to reference my father. So this is the crazy thing. I had to reference my father when my mother was alive in relationships,
Hmm.
and I didn't do that right off the bat. So growing up with my father, it's like a boot camp, and the same thing with you in the sense of having lack of emotions towards a lot of things. I was the same with women. My way or the highway. This is the structure. The this is the discipline of my life. Follow it or not.
Right.
And although there might be a good strategy in terms of relationship, what I found later on, and this is why me and my wife are the way that we are, is that it's not so much sacrificing a part of yourself, but it is a sense of looking at the other person and trying to figure out what language they speak from. And typically the language that they speak from is from their childhood, how they were raised. And that was something for me that was extremely difficult at first. This is how terrible, and people might see it as terrible. This is how um, unemotionally attached I was. I used to find it a game to uh, date women who were in corporate spaces,
Hmm.
because I found out very earlier on, the same thing. What do you have to offer? I've got a job. Like, I've got money. I said, great. Then you don't need me. We've got nothing for each other. And
Right.
those things used to entice those women. It's like, oh shit, he's willing to walk away from what I considered the prize. Um, but even those were, although there were quick, smart strategies for attracting women, there weren't great strategies at all for maintaining relationship in a healthy
Right.
one. And that was one of the things that I had to learn. And to learn that was to reference my father not as he was as a parent to me after my mother, but to reference him during the time that my mother was alive. And he was a completely different character when she was still alive.
Mm. Nah, I respect that. Totally understand. To what you were saying is I just had a break for it right there. Hold on one second. Dang it just lost me. Damn it. That means it's past my bedtime, but it's all good. But with and also want to tell ladies, if you come across a man who has been raised by a single father, this might be a bad advice to put out there or a bad assumption to put out there. Chances are the men are there, they want to be there with you, but you're going to have to show them some level of grace because their levels of I don't give a fuck is higher than most people you will come across. And it is like to Paulo Fel's point, it is your way. It's going to be their way or the highway because they don't have time to waste. They're here because they want to be here. But if you show them that you will drag your feet and you are rebellion to their whatever they have going on, they will clock out. They will get out of Dodge. They will gracefully put you back in the dating market and keep it moving. So I would say, ladies, you just need to find some level of grace when you're dealing with, like I said, men like me or man like Paulo Fesso. Like when we raise our fathers, it's different. It will be a nice investment. Might be the greatest thing that you come across, but just that's going to be the only crutch. Is like, fuck your feelings. What are we doing here? What are we doing now? But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I wanted to do this stream today because we are coming. The numbers are growing. There, by the masses, there are still women who are dependent on men. That's clear as day. Hey, little one, how you doing? There's still there's still women that are dependent on men, but that number is growing rapidly. These women are about to have just as much as you have men, if not more. But here's the thing that they have to remember: they want to be there with you. So the question is, what are you going to offer them? So some of the women that I came across, they said, just be yourself, chill in the moment, be here in the moment, and let's grow from there. I don't, I got everything I need. I'm just here for my wants now. once the necessities were taken care of, check off the bus, checked out boxes checked off. Now I could be here for the moment, have fun, and actually grow. And this could be extremely organic. So I wanted to tell the brothers, please do not screw this situation up. Don't really give into some of these talking points that you hear or what these content creators are saying on these panels. If you come across this woman, just be yourself. Just be normal. She is willing to accept normal, and she will work with normal. She will love normal. She will take care. She will take care of normal. I'll go as far as to say she will even go as far as to protect normal, because that's the one thing you can offer her. Because at the end of the day, although she might have everything, that's the one thing that she's missing. To get to the level of success that she needs, she had to sacrifice normalcy. Give her that, and she will cherish you for the rest of her life. Paulo Fuzz, but do you have any thoughts, any final thoughts regarding that?
Just to add to what you're saying, I think this is where it's increasingly important that us as men at least look to places where we can derive some sense of values and principles,
Mm.
because what you're talking about in terms of providing normal, that's something that's deeply rooted in at least a form of value system, and value systems are more robust when it's practiced. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the conversation that you and I had about being raised by single fathers, in the sense of it's my way or the highway, those are deeply rooted in values and principles.
Mm-hmm.
And when we come across women who are all about that, you know, my life, my career, my job, it's not a difficult place for us to dance in, because yeah, I get that, but I have something that you want, and you have something that I want. We're either going to make it work or we don't. And even having that sense of assertiveness to say that to someone, that to the opposite sex that you have an interest in,
Mm-hmm.
gives you a level of authority that women desire from men. And it again derives some value system. And if you feel that you lack something, you need to find an answer outside of the relationship, because that will be the little voice in your head that haunts you every night. Damn, I'm not enough. I ain't got enough money. All of these things, and no one can resolve those problems but you. And those
Right.
problems can be solved by at least having some principles that you practice.
I think principles will absolve one's insecurities on both sides of the fence. And the best thing to do is hear out, and that's something I really been focusing on, is the ideas or the foundations of principles. And I think the best thing to do is put your principles on the table. Or if you don't have any principles, put your standards on the table. Let's see what meshes well together, because this will, like you said, I don't have enough money. I don't have a good job. I don't have a big house or cars or whatever. This these rules, these guidelines, these moralities will absolve all of those ghosts that's haunting you, and this will make sure that you guys both parties move forward as one. So I do think principles will silence the insecurities, because at the end of the day, you're here for her, and she's there for you. Fuck everybody else around. Oh, let me. I think you got kids around, so my bad. Let me clear up my language.
You're
Uh,
fine.
but that was pretty much it. I appreciate you pulling up, man. Let me get to these chats real quick, and we're gonna get out of here. The modern thinking is that money raised children. That is so cap. I seen the brokest people raise some outstanding children, not because of the level of success that they had in life, for the simple fact that if you put them in real life situations, look at the results, look at the decisions that they made, and look how they overcome it. That's how you know if you raise your child the right way. Not the education, not the money. It's all about decision making. Can you make the right decision in real time? A lot of people cannot, and they got more money than I could think of. Hence why the men they are they are in the picture are only expected to pay and don't interfere in certain types of dynamics, which is true, but that's sad. Dads are hands-on teachers that will allow you to fail, but encourage you to keep trying. That is a fact. My parents, my dad was definitely hands-on, and yeah, you could say hands-on, and he encouraged me after I fell in a controlled environment. Now, I will tell you guys one thing: coming from a man that's from Nigeria, that looks a little bit different than any man on this side of the globe. But if I really had to really um, strip down some of the aggressiveness, the language, and that type of stuff, that's a man who loved me, cared for me, and wanted to make sure I succeed. So to that point, Walter Mack, you're absolutely right. But Apollo Festival, man, I appreciate you pulling up, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Usually you go live when I'm up in the cloud and doing stuff, but I'll be tuning into your conversation. Keep it going, man. You're doing great, and yeah, enjoyed this. I loved and enjoyed this conversation, and thanks again for having me up.
Same here. You can come back anytime, man. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right, y'all. That was Paulo Fesso. We about to get out of here because I'm actually going to go to bed on time or early, which is a rarity in of itself. But let's go ahead and get out of here. On your way out, like this video, subscribe to my YouTube, follow me on all social links are located in the description. $sign the BTSI shows the Cash App. Participant waive all rights and privacy. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Once we reach that goal, one lucky person will get $100 during the Cash App giveaway. First and second runner up will get some Cash App money as well. Will I be back with let's do this. Let's do wrestling tomorrow. Let's do wrestling Wednesday because we need to talk about this. I let the dust settle intentionally before I decided to speak on this publicly. Some people think it's a storyline. No, I'm actually talking about the business side and how this is going to screw up WWE if they don't get the behind the scenes shit fixed up. That's Dwayne. That's TKO. There, I got the Vince McMahon situation somewhat settled, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. I'm gonna actually give my first public opinion on this, and some people may or may not like what I got to say, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. And that, people, thank you for pulling up. This is the BTSI show. I'm host Chris J. Talk to you tomorrow. Peace out.